Nag-utos po sa inyo?
Yung Congressman Tevez yung pagkaalam.
Paano mo sir nasabi na si Congressman Tevez daw po?
Kasi yung safe house namin, yung may-ari ng nagtanong kasi ako kung sino may-ari ng lupain doon.
Okay. Ano po? Sino daw po?
Tevez daw.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
Suspects have implicated the Tevez name in the killing of Governor Roel Degamo.
The Tevez family, meanwhile, is reportedly fearing for their safety. Marlene Alcaide with the big story.
Nag-utos po sa inyo?
Yung Congressman Tevez yung pagkaalam.
This is what former Army Sergeant Joric Labrador answered when asked who ordered their group to raid the compound of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Labrador said he found out about it when he asked who owned the safe house where they stayed, though it was unclear which Tevez he was referring to.
Kadalas ka pong Tevez yung sir?
Wala pong pangalan na sinabi.
They were allegedly recruited by a certain Marvin to be part of the security detail. Labrador further asserted he did not join the individuals who fired gunshots and only monitored the perimeter as security. Another suspect, Benji Rodriguez, was also arrested, and both of them are now in the custody of the NBI. Rodriguez insists they are also victims.
Paano sir kayo naging biktima?
Yung binasukan namin trabaho, ma'am, bodyguard lang po, ma'am.
Tapos?
Usapan namin. Dating nun, ma'am, di ba pala?
They were allegedly given an advance payment of 20,000 pesos.
Bakit daw sir si Gov ang target? Ano daw ang dahilan?
Drug lord daw, sir.
Ha?
Drug lord daw, sir.
Drug lord daw siya?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Marami daw siyang kalaban.
Marami siya?
Kalaban.
Kalaban siya?
Hindi ko alam, sir, kung anong kalaban.
Justice Secretary Boying Remulla meanwhile said he has yet to receive information about the statements of the two suspects.
Kailangan ko humabasa yung mga statement kasi yan po ang gagamitin namin basehan sa pagka-file ng kaso. At malamang i-file na namin ng kaso ng mas mabilis kung mayroon na hong ganyang mga balita.
Congressman Arnulfo Tevez Jr. earlier denied any involvement in the crime. However, in another document from the House of Representatives, it was stated that Tevez was only given a travel clearance just recently as he is currently in the United States.
Hindi siya binigyan ng extension, kaya inaasahan namin na uuwi na siya kung talagang haharap siya.
The Tevez family refused to give a statement and said that they will just wait for the truth to come out. However, they have expressed concern for their safety.
They're very afraid. They're really afraid. The family is really afraid. As a matter of fact, they are, most of all the relatives, including the nephews and nieces, are just advised to stay home.
But according to Remulla, it is possible that there are more than one mastermind in the killing of Degamo.
Ang tingin namin, hanggang tatlo yan, hanggang tatlo-apat yan na nagkaisa na magplano at kumuha na lang sila ng ibang tao para sumapi.
For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
The big story tried to reach out to Congressman Arnulfo Tevez for his reaction to this development. He, however, declined and said, "I will speak in due time. Thank you." Authorities are confirming that all 6 passengers aboard the missing Cessna 206 plane in Isabela have died. Responders found the wreckage between 11 to 11:30 a.m. today in the mountainous area of Barangay Ditarum in Divilacan, Isabela. The aircraft was found 43 days after it went missing. All 6 passengers, including the pilot, Captain Eleazar Mark Joven, did not survive the crash. The passengers were Sam Sigera, Mark Aaron Sigera, Val Camatoy, Rom Joshel Manaday, and Josefa Perla España. Families of the victims have already been notified. Authorities meanwhile report that it will take them at least 3 days to retrieve the remains from the crash site. The Cessna plane went missing on January 24 en route to Macunacon after it took off from Kawayan, also in Isabela.
To give us more details on the retrieval operations, we have with us on the line Attorney Watu Foronda, head of the Isabela PD RRMO. Welcome to the big story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, take us through the search and rescue operations and tell us all about the terrain. Why exactly did it take 43 days and why will it take another 3 days to bring down the bodies from the area?
Well, first of all, there are three things that made the search difficult for us. First is the sheer vastness of the search area. I computed it at 1,256 square kilometers. You can just imagine 1 square kilometer is 1 million square meters. Second is the weather. It's the weather would not let up. It's been raining. In fact, we had to suspend search for 3 days during a period because of extreme weather conditions. It was difficult for searchers to endure the cold, the wind, and the rain. Third is the terrain. It's the Sierra Madre Mountains. It's thickly forested, and it's a protected area, meaning it's unexplored. Chances are the steps taken by the searchers were the first in that area. So that made it difficult for us to look for the plane, and it took us 43 days, actually. Well, that area where the plane was found was actually one of the blocks assigned to a certain group to search. We divided the search area into several blocks, and teams were a team was sent to each block. In that particular block, it was actually the third attempt to that area. Yes. During the first two failed attempts, because of the rains, the river swelled and the current was strong, and the searchers could not negotiate the river, could not go to the other side. This morning, the weather was better. The water level of the river had subsided, and the current was not that strong anymore, so they were able to cross. And there, across the river, they found the plane.
Attorney, when you say across the river, could you describe in more specificity what the exact location looked like? Was it low near the river? Was it further up or on a hill? And at the same time, could you tell us, the state of the plane itself when it was found? What did it look like?
Okay, the location is actually a slope of the mountain in Divilacan, a barangay called Ditarum. It's not actually near the riverbanks. It's much further. As to the condition of the plane when it was found, it broke into several pieces. You can just imagine the impact. That's why it's now in pieces.
Now, talk to us now about the, as we said, it may take still a few more days before we actually retrieve the remains of the victims. But what do you expect weather-wise in the coming days and the conditions in general for the retrieval operations?
Well, weather forecast for the next 3 days is good. According to the estimate of our people on the ground, it will take about a day to reach the crash site and 2 days to bring the bodies of the passengers and the pilot down to the town proper of Divilacan.
Attorney, do we have any clear idea on what caused the crash? Was there any sign to it when you found the plane?
No, I refuse to speculate. I leave it to the CAAP crash investigators who will be here in Kawayan by tomorrow. They will be taken to the crash site as soon as possible. I just hope they are able-bodied enough to reach the crash site because it's quite a walk to get there.
As to the family of the victims, have you spoken to them and how exactly did they react to the news?
No, it wasn't I who spoke to them. A a go-between, talk to them. The lawyer of the owner of the aircraft talked to the victims, and I have no idea actually. Of course, we can just imagine the devastation of the relatives, the sadness they felt, like anybody else would be who told a bad news, how a person told of a bad news would feel. I can just imagine.
Okay. Attorney Watu Foronda, maraming salamat po.
The Health Department warns that wasted COVID-19 vaccines could reach over 60 million doses. Now, these include the 44 million jabs that have already expired, while over 6.7 million doses are set to expire between this month and May. Health Officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere says some 6.9 million doses are meanwhile still quarantined as they await the decision of manufacturers and the FDA on whether the vaccine shelf life could be extended. Now, speaking to senators, Vergere says the agency is now doing its best to increase the vaccination rate, especially in rural areas where vaccinations remain low.
Till now, the rates are still the same. But we've tried to integrate already the COVID-19 vaccination in our regular community programs, whereby the vaccines now are more accessible to our Filipino people. Anytime and anywhere, they can already access the vaccines through their health facilities.
And coming right up, the dry run for exclusive motorcycle lanes has begun today along Commonwealth Avenue. We'll get more updates on that with MMDA spokesperson Melissa Carunungan when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're watching The Big Story here on One News. The MMDA has started its test run on the use of exclusive motorcycle lanes. Here's what we know. The dry run takes effect today and will run until March 19. The third lane from the sidewalk of Commonwealth Avenue from the elliptical road to Doña Carmen has been reserved for motorcycle riders. Traffic enforcers will only be issuing reminders to violators for the duration of the dry run. But what exactly prompted this traffic scheme? Well, the MMDA says it's meant to help prevent vehicular accidents and improve traffic flow in the area. Commonwealth Avenue is dubbed as the country's killer highway, with over 1,600 motorcycle-related accidents recorded just last year. The MMDA will resume full implementation of the exclusive motorcycle lane on March 20. Now, by then, enforcers will start issuing tickets and violators will have to pay a 500 peso fine.
And here to speak with us about the motorcycle lane dry run is MMDA spokesperson Melissa Carunungan. Good evening. Welcome to The Big Story, ma'am.
Good evening, Sir Robbie, Ma'am Gretchen, and to all those watching.
Okay, so ma'am, your assessment of the first day of this test run, any early lessons or any early pain points that we're learning about?
Yes, sir. Actually, from the first day of the dry run, our chairman, Attorney Artes, was already able to assess the situation. We've also been listening to the concerns of the motorists. One of the main concerns po is the visibility of the traffic enforcers. So right away, our chairman requested for the production of placards that will help with their visibility along the Commonwealth Avenue, from Elliptical Road to Doña Carmen, where the exclusive lane is. The placards will show more clearly which lanes are designated for which vehicles po.
Okay, and what about traffic flow? How did it affect the movement of the cars, not just on the lanes, but on either side of it?
For now po, we are trying to slowly implement the dry run. We started around 8 o'clock a.m. after the rush hour so that we won't add to the heavy traffic. So we were able to see that with the new road scheme, there were around 50 motorists that were apprehended, but the traffic situation po is relatively similar naman po.
Okay, Melissa, this isn't the first time that we're seeing a dry run of the motorcycle lane in Commonwealth Avenue. Also, we have that in EDSA. What are the findings now that will actually make it successful?
Well, with the motorcycle lane, what we really want to do and instill in the motorists is that they will become more disciplined to stay within their lane. What is important is the information campaign for now, that the motorists know that there are exclusive lanes now po along Commonwealth Avenue. And eventually, through this dry run, they will be able to get used to the new road scheme. And the ultimate goal of the MMDA, in coordination with the LGFQC, is to lessen the road crash incidents along Commonwealth Avenue.
There are comments that the policy is discriminatory. Sinasabi po nila na pagka yung motor ang lumalabas sa lane nila, doon sila natitikitan. Pero kapag yung sasakyan naman ang pumapasok, hindi raw nangyayari yon. I mean, what can you say about that?
This is erroneous. So for all vehicles, whether you're a motorcycle, PUV, or private vehicle, if you leave your exclusive lane, you will be fined 500 pesos. And if you enter a lane that is not designated for you, you will also be fined 500 pesos. But the exception to this is when there are dotted lines along the Commonwealth Avenue, which indicate that you can turn right to exit Commonwealth Avenue to enter the roads or establishments. Along these dotted line areas, it is not exclusive anymore.
Now, ma'am, as we've said, this is a dry run. Walk us through the timeline for full implementation if we have it already.
Yes, sir. So from March 9 today up to March 19, we will have the dry run implementation of the exclusive lanes along Commonwealth Avenue. So I'll just reiterate, from the rightmost lane that is already designated for bicycles. Beside this is the exclusive lane for public utility vehicles. Beside that is the exclusive lane for motorcycles. And then the rest of the lanes are dedicated to private vehicles. We hope to formally implement this po by March 20. So for now, we are instilling our awareness to the motorists po.
Hey, ma'am, are you hoping to do the same along EDSA with the motorcycle lane, make it exclusive for motorcycles? What about for cars who are turning right, having to pass through those lanes, and other possible areas where you will implement the same thing?
Yes, ma'am. So first, for EDSA, this is a possibility, as stated by Chairman Attorney Artes during the inauguration of the Commonwealth Avenue motorcycle lane. He stated that Commonwealth Avenue is a good candidate for the exclusive lanes because of how wide it is. And if the implementation here is successful, by that meaning that it helps lessen road crashes and secondarily improve or ease the traffic flow, then this will serve as a template for placing an exclusive motorcycle lane in other major roads, ma'am, such as EDSA.
Okay, maraming salamat po. MMDA spokesperson Melissa Corunungan. Now, despite ongoing talks between government and transport groups, the LTFRB says that the PUV modernization program will push through. Speaking with Radyo 5's Ted Filon and DJ Chacha, LTFRB Executive Director Bob Paig said the December 31 deadline for consolidation of franchises will not be suspended. But although the consolidation deadline remains, Paig says there will no longer be a phase-out of traditional units. The agency will also hold dialogues with its partner agencies and transport groups to review and revise the omnibus franchise guidelines. Paig says that there will be due process for drivers who opt not to join a cooperative.
Bibigyan pa rin po siya ng pagkakataon at matanong bakit hindi po siya sumali o kaya nag-comply po doon sa circular. Kung mabigyan po siya ng magandang rason bakit po siyang pagbibigyan naman po.
Fishermen are now also looking for ways to help speed up the oil spill cleanup in Oriental Mindoro. Some fishermen in Bansud, Oriental Mindoro, improvised spill booms made of mats filled with grass. Since they are not allowed to go out to sea, they are now focusing on preventing the oil spill from reaching shores. Bansud is one of the 9 towns in the province that was placed under a state of calamity due to the oil spill. Bansud Mayor Ronaldo Morada is calling on government to quickly act on the oil spill due to its effort on the province. Now, for their part, the Senate Environment Panel, chaired by Senator Cynthia Villar, is set to start an inquiry into the oil spill and its impact to marine biodiversity, which experts say could last for decades.
Na sana bilis-bilisan ng ating national government o kung sino man yung concerned agency na siyang gumawa kagad ng pamaraan para matigil na ito, para maawat na ito. Kami, makatulong bang kami, mga ilang buwan lang, mga 2 buwan, 1 buwan, ay pagdating sa sunod na buwan ay hindi na namin kakayanin yun. Sinasabi namin ng totoo.
Metro Pacific saw a 15% jump in its core earnings as the economy reopened further in 2022. MPIC's core net income went up to 14 billion pesos in 2022 from 12 billion a year earlier. The company said this is on the back of increased toll road traffic and growth in power consumption. Metro Pacific says it's looking to grow its income by another 15% this year. The company is setting aside 80 billion pesos for its capex this year, about 10% of which will be used for its agri-business.
It's close to about 8 billion on agri. The projects and the programs that we will go into would really depend on the partnership with the LR Group for the hydroponics, for example, in the dairy farms that Sila Jovi are doing right now. There are also certain acquisitions that we cannot disclose at this point.
And after the break, the number of jobless Filipinos increased last January. We will find out more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
still watching the big story here on One News.
Unemployment went up in January as holiday jobs ended. The National Economic Development Authority is hoping that the new set of planned infrastructure projects will soon spur employment. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza with this report.
More infrastructure projects, more jobs. This is what the Marcos administration hopes to achieve moving forward. The National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, recently approved close to 200 infrastructure flagship projects worth 9 trillion pesos.
Majority of these infrastructure flagship projects are in physical connectivity and water resources, which include projects in irrigation, water supply, and flood management. The list also includes projects in digital connectivity, health, power and energy, agriculture, and other infrastructure.
The list of projects include the Panay Railway, UP-PGH Diliman, and the rehabilitation of NAIA. Since these are big-ticket projects, the government is expecting higher employment figures and increased investment as a result. Unemployment rate climbed to 4.8 in January, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. This translates to around 2.3 million jobless Filipinos. Underemployment also picked up in the same month, as seasonal jobs from the holiday rush came to an end. NEDA hopes that the new series of infra projects could help bring back lost jobs.
Once they are rolled out, implemented, will boost employment opportunities because these are investments, these are construction. There will be construction activities, massive construction activities, and that will improve the investment climate in the country so that more investors can come in, both domestic and foreign, and the current investors can expand their operations. Those will create jobs.
NEDA is also hopeful that more investments would soon come in, especially with President Bongbong Marcos selling the Philippines as an investment hub in recent trips.
I also would like to think that it has been 7 months since the new administration has come in, and I think that that has more or less has already sent a signal that the business environment has improved because the president has been very clear that he is open to business, is opening up the Philippine economy to business, including foreign investment. So that I think drives confidence in the economy.
Mobile journalist Julie Baiza, We Are One News.
And before we go, did you know that one Filipino dies every day from rabies? That's according to 2022 data from the Department of Health. But this number has seemingly increased this year. Since January, 55 people have died from rabies, which was transmitted through the bite of infected animals such as dogs and cats. Now, this is 8% higher than the first 3 months of 2022. That's why during Rabies Awareness Month, the National Rabies Prevention and Control Program was launched. According to the Health Department, many cases of rabies are caused by bites of the victim's own pets. With this, the DOH has a reminder for Filipinos with pets.
It all starts with being a responsible pet owner. So, ang Pilipino mahilig mag-alaga, no? Whether pusa yan or aso. Pero dapat responsible tayo. Meaning, dapat regular, no? At up-to-date ang bakuna ng ating mga alaga.
You adopt pets, so what would your advice be for us?
Well, even if I didn't, obviously, di ba, kaya nga nang sabi, it's part of your responsibility. But really, it's such a tragic disease, not only because it's really very painful to see, but also because it's easy to prevent.
How many times do you need for your pet to get vaccinated?
That I don't really know, and I don't want to misspeak. But the important thing is consult your vets, and even if you don't have a regular vet, especially in this month, maraming mga free anti-rabies shots.
Saan yun?
Sa mga barangay. Inquire with your barangay, and in many cases, even the villages, even the homeowners associations provide it But the point is, it's not that hard to find it.
Actually, mas mahal kapag nakagat ka kasi parang ilang anti-rabies yun. Parang vaccine. Parang 5 o 4 o 5. So better to prevent it.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.